Okay, let's just get right into it. If you don't know who I am, I'm a very big Wheel of Time fan who makes a lot of Wheel of Time content, and I'm going to be breaking down what I do and don't like about the upcoming show trailer. No, the trailers, I'm very excited, words are hard. I'm going to be breaking down the trailer that's got released for the upcoming show, what I did and didn't like. There's a lot I love, a couple things I'm going to criticize. Let's go ahead and get on into it. For YouTube algorithm purposes, an expert Wheel of Time fan breakdown of the Wheel of Time trailer. Views and money, please. I'm also going to keep this as spoiler-free as I can for the main plot of season 1 of the Wheel of Time show. So yes, there will be some spoiler stuff I discuss at the very end with a clear warning before I do so. I am going to get into vague spoilers for setup of world and character. If that bothers you, this video is not for you. Let's go ahead and move on. We have an opening shot in dialogue that pretty much tells us directly we are going to be getting flashbacks to New Spring, a prequel to the first book. And these shots focus on one of our main protagonists, Moiraine Sedai, the person who is essentially the Gandalf stand-in, being raised to Aes Sedai. Aes Sedai are essentially this world's wizards, except they're all female channelers. They're all women who use magic because men who use magic in this world go insane and essentially become giant weapons of mass destruction. She is officially being raised to this position, and then we get a voiceover talking about how she's been sent on a journey to find the Dragon Reborn. During this, she speaks the 3 oaths that Aes Sedai take that actually physically stop them from breaking them due to the magic. Aes Sedai cannot lie, for example, or just murder willy-nilly with magic. They are constrained, and that is a way to establish trust between them and the political world around them, so it's just a quick setup for that. We also then get immediate shots of a character called Loghain. This character is a character who within the book, at this point, we are pretty much established is going to be taken prisoner by the White Tower, the home of these Aes Sedai, and currently shielded, meaning he cannot access the One Power because, you guessed it, he's a man who can channel, big old dangerous guy, set up and payoff right there. And I will be taking it that if something is spoiled within this trailer for you, that I'm going to be free to talk about it in this video because it's in the trailer and it's already spoiled, so they're wanting you to know it going in. Loghain's a guy who's being held prisoner. That's in the trailer. I'm not spoiling it. The trailer said it. There's always someone who comments like, but you said a character name that we didn't know, so now that character names are not moving on. We also then get what appears to be a warder saying, do you know what Aes Sedai means in the old tongue? It means servant to all, and that's a great setup to what exactly these people are. They are servants to the world. Granted, not a lot of people trust and like them, but they are indeed servants to all, and they're trying their best in their own views, whether warped or not, to help the world prepare to fight the Shadow or the Dark One. We then get a few shots back to back showing just how regal and important the Aes Sedai are. This grand room they are in, they're color-coded. Yes, they're broken into different ajas like green, red, blue. All of them have different meanings and purposes, and if you'd like, I'd make a video of that in the future. Just let me know if you want that in the comments down below. Words! We then get some epic shots of Moiraine as she is setting up her lifelong quest, and for those of you who do not know, and as is set up in the New Spring, the prequel novel, she is actually going on a quest to find the Dragon Reborn, a prophesied savior or destroyer of the world, someone who could bring a prosperous future or grind it all into nothing. She has to find him before, obviously, you know, the Dark One does. That'd be a bad thing. But oh no, she doesn't know who it is, so her life has been devoted going to different parts of the world trying to find someone who was born in the right date range because she knows the birth time and location, but unfortunately it was too far to get there in time, of the Dragon Reborn. So now she's going about like, hey, were you born at this time and place? No? Yeah, you're not that. You're not the person. You're like 4'8". You're not. You gotta be tall if you're gonna be a chosen one. Have you read any fantasy book ever? It's true. Height discrimination in fantasy is very real. But moving on. But she establishes looking to her warder Lan. Cut in! Warders are essentially men who train their entire lives to become ultimate badass swordsmen to protect Aes Sedai, because occasionally they're in positions where they can't defend themselves with magic. And so a warder steps in and he's like, I'll kill people for you. And they have a bond to the Aes Sedai that makes them stronger. So hers is Lan, this really handsome feller, and she's telling him, hey, we're gonna go to the 2 rivers, because I think the person might be there. We then get several shots of establishing who these candidates of the Dragon Reborn might be, and it's one of them. I'm not going to tell you which one, but yeah, the Dragon Reborn's in the 2 rivers, hence why the story is following them. But then we get a dark, mysterious rider. And yeah, Eye of the World is meant to be deeply steeped in fantasy cliches. So this fantasy cliche of the dark, mysterious rider showing up, I am absolutely fine with, because it is a Myrdral, a shadow spawn creature created by the Dark One to serve its evil, twisted desires. I'm not gonna get into the creation of these things, but overgeneralizing, created by the Dark One, even though not really. And this is Moiraine's competition because, well, she has located these potential Dragon Reborn candidates. Guess who also did? The Dark One. And instead of sending just a couple of riders or something dumb like a lot of Dark Lords tend to do in fantasy, it sends a full army. Because that's the smart thing to do in this situation, so it does. We then get a bunch more of dramatic shots of our Emond's Field 5. That's what these people are called by their loving fans of the readers of the books. And we even get this badass braid flip, and just... braids are a big deal in the Wheel of Time for cultural reasons, and the fact they're putting in these little clips just let me know that they're gonna keep that, and I never thought I'd be happy about braids, but I am. And here we have Moiraine looking like she's just been through a ringer saying, hey, it's one of the 5 of you, which is her just flat out telling these 5 people, one of you is gonna be the Dragon Reborn, and we gotta bounce. We then get Matt Cawthon, who is one of these candidates, saying, you have fully lost your mind, because, you know, he's a farm boy in the middle of nowhere who's like, you're telling me that me and one of my friends is the prophesied savior or destroyer of the world? No. And I love this philosophy to Robert Jordan's approach to writing The Chosen One. This is a series that acts as a bridge in many ways from classic fantasy to modern, and one of the big changes, while it is steeped in fantasy tropes Robert Jordan made, is that he grew up in the country, and he always thought like, hey, if a wizard showed up and was like, you gotta leave your hometown and go on this great adventure, he'd be like, no. And so that was his driving philosophy in crafting these characters. He forces them into this situation, and so that they must go on this journey, and they're not exactly willing participants, which is an angle that really drives a lot of the narrative thrust for the first few books. And if you want to know what I mean about like them being pushed out of the village, we directly see the army coming after them in the trailer. So yeah, the Dark Lords being like, hey, no, I'm not gonna send like 1 or 2 dudes, here's
thousands.
Which, I don't know, I just like that. I like that it's finally not a dumb Dark Lord, and it's actually like, fully go, go, go. So this isn't a fight our heroes can win. The Eye of the World is about them running. And here we get our first glorious shot of a Trolloc. Now, there's a lot of riffs on orcs and goblins throughout fantasy, but some of my favorites are the Trolloc. They are essentially human beings mixed with animals, and that means there's variety to their appearance, which this trailer made clear the series is keeping, and I very much so appreciate the level of effort, because these seem to be practical costumes. Instead of having just a print, wash, repeat, same costume from every Trolloc, they're taking a general look and adding animalistic features of different kinds. That's not an easy feat, and is something I'm sure someone put a lot of time and energy into making, and I just want to say to the prop department or the costume design or whatever it is, thank you. We then get flashes of a slaughter seeming to happen in a small village. There's going to be blood in season 1, and oh yeah, daddy. I was afraid this would feel more like a PG-13 show, but with the shots of a shirtless Rand we've already gotten in a teaser implying a physical relationship between him and another character, and on top of that, the amount of blood visible here in season 1 apparently, I am thoroughly not thinking this will be a nice, easy, clean PG-13, but instead more of a R rating, and yeah. This is also a series that should have a pretty intense horror vibe, especially in the first season, and it looks like we're getting that as well. And now we have a very famous Trolloc among the fan base, kicking open a door and being like, hello, my name happens to be Narg, and I'm special. And we're not going to talk about that here. You're going to need to read the book, because I have a sneaking suspicion they're not going to do the full Narg thing that's in the book, and if you want to know this inside thing, read Eye of the World. Narg's smart. We then get several more action shots involving Trollocs, and I really like the small clips we're getting here, at least the very brutal way in which Trollocs seem to be fighting. We literally are seeing a Trolloc put its hand on its blade and just pushing down on someone. That's how a Trolloc should fight, just inflict damage and be a monster. That's what they really are. They're more animalistic, obviously, than orc. We then get a bunch more dramatic shots, as well as this building here, which looks like it took a lot of design effort, so thank you, and some looks at some Borderlanders. Now, Borderlanders are the people who essentially sit on the border to where the Dark One still rules. Think of it as this world's Mordor, except it's more of like a dying, decayed, diseased land, where there's a lot of like nature going on, but the nature's ugly. And these people basically dedicate their lives to fighting on this front, and we see see them kind of preparing for a battle that we know takes place in book 1 with the look of this crossbows. They also have their signature top knots. Culture is very big in these books, and they're nailing the culture. And boy, oh boy, do we get a shot that guarantees an R rating, because this is an Aes Sedai. You can tell by the color coding going on and the fact that in a few more shots we see someone collecting her ring and putting it on his belt. This is a White Cloak. White Cloak are a religious fanatical organization who believe that Aes Sedai serve the Dark One in secret, and so they find, hunt, and kill them. This is a White Cloak burning an Aes Sedai alive and gleefully sitting down to eat his meal in front of her. Wow, what a perfect way to characterize and categorize the White Cloaks. They are freakish religious fanatics, and this is the kind of stuff they would pull. Some people might think this goes too far. I like this because it again plays up the horrific vibes I think should be in season 1. But what I will say is they really need to justify how this was possible. They need to get into how this person is capturing Aes Sedai and establish it, because Aes Sedai should not be something someone should easily collect rings about. So I will praise this as long as they thoroughly justify it, because Aes Sedai aren't nothing to freak around with. That was the worst thing I've ever said. I'm very excited, I'm sorry. And this shot right here, I can't get too into why it is wrong for spoiler reasons. I was wrong. After watching a video on IGN with the showrunner, it justifies the character choice I took issue with. Well, I still don't think it's the best choice. Now it is a little different. Sorry, my eyes are just super dilated because I went to the optometrist today. They messed with my eyes and I wanted to do like a weird thing, so I did a weird thing. Bye. They also have definitely changed the name from the Taint to the Corruption, which is a change I think we can all agree needed to happen. I was really dreading all of the "you were touched by the taint" jokes, so well, maybe I would have liked those jokes. No, they would have gotten old. We then have Rand saying a line where, "We've lost too many people already, I can't lose you," which is a line I really like because it actually tells me, hey, there will be costs to certain early on events for this season that are going to not be held back on. That's great. And that means the stakes are being driven up for these characters and they're not getting a lot of moments to feel safe and secure, which they shouldn't. So he's telling someone he cares about, I can't lose you, please, which is a very good initiating starting place for the character of Rand, because he is someone who, again, goes through there's a lot of trauma inflicted throughout the Wheel of Time. Just trauma is a big theme here. Just get ready, buckle up, buckaroo. That's the Wheel of Time. Traumatize farmers. That's the slogan of Wheel of Time. We then get Egwene and Perrin with someone dead on the ground, presumably a tinker, which I won't get into for spoiler reasons, being harassed by what is clearly a White Cloak. Why am I confident they're a White Cloak? Gee, I wonder why! We then get an outstanding shot of a Trolloc attacking what appears to be Nynaeve and Egwene, and them fighting back hard, which... talking about culture stuff, these people are from the Two Rivers. The Two Rivers people are known for being stubborn and fierce, so the idea of a horrific monster from nightmares attacking them and them standing up and being like, I'm afraid, but I'm gonna hit you with this board, is right on the money. Good job. We then see a Waygate, which we've seen a lot of promotional material, and our first look at Loyal. Loyal is an Ogier. You can look up what an Ogier is on your own, but the fact that we got this, mwah, beautiful little Loyal. We then get a Fade swinging a sword at someone. Smallish criticism, but I think we're going to lose this for the show, and I don't blame them. Fades, aka Murdral we talked about earlier, are described as swinging faster than eyes can see, but a lot of descriptions like that happen in the show, but I don't think they're going to keep that. It's just not something that I think can be maintained for like a whole series and would look goofy if done wrong, so I think it's actually okay to drop that and just make them very good fighters. So the fact that they're not moving like super Twilight fast, I just watched Twilight by the way for the first time, that was interesting, I'm okay with. Trolloc army shot! Again, a different look to a Trolloc, this time much more pronounced horns and less of a schnoot and more of a which I like. And then Moraine channeling, and boy, do I just not love the looks of the VFX around this channeling, which if it's not solid in season 1, I get it. They still have time to make it look a bit better in VFX, but if they don't and they have to improve it in later seasons, I understand and that's all right. We then get a lot around a character, Logain, who I cannot talk about in detail without getting into spoilers, but these VFX look a bit wonky and I'm just not sure about this sequence. Or they're basically going to be upping this character a lot from what's in the book, so I honestly actually can't even say that much because I don't know what's going on here, aside from potentially some things that are referenced in the book being shown, which is cool. Can't talk more. Spoilers. I'll talk spoilers at the very end. And then we get an explosion shot! I like a good explosion shot, and the warders that seem to be next to this Aes Sedai are ducking as soon as this happens, which actually is something I like that emphasizes the relationship between warders and Aes Sedai, where they are mentally linked, so these people should be reacting to her actions in a supernaturally fast way. They got it! Borderlanders with crossbows. You guys look good. And then the shot that made me the happiest I have maybe been since my girlfriend first told me she loved me. This is the level of happiness I'm at. It's so happy. And it's an Aiel in white garb, meaning they have changed to match their environment, which is something I enjoy, running up on somebody. For those of you who don't know, Aiel are hands down, no question, the single coolest culture in any fantasy series ever. If you disagree, that is fine. You can be wrong, I can be right. Moving on. And they're running up on someone, there's blood on their spear, they're moving like a motivated murder machine, and that's exactly what the Aiel should be. And then we get this magnificent shot of them being like, you were dumb enough to bring a cape into a battle. No capes! And they're grabbing them and pulling them to the ground with it, which is exactly how an Aiel would fight. They are going to use your stupid mistake to take you down. And yeah, bringing a cape into a fight's dumb. I 100% agree with that. I just love this image of like a polished armor man being like, I can take this Aiel, and the Aiel being like, yeet! We then get Man in Shadow, which from previous releases we know is that Logain guy from the cage before. Maybe he's breaking out. Well, from this shot it looks like he is, but I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We get Rand with bow, which if you're a book fan, I like that they're giving Rand his bow for a good long time. He's a bow boy for a while. Let him be his little bow boy. We then end with this magnificent shot of the White Tower, implying that this is going to be a bigger role, and I like that. I actually enjoy the idea of the tower's politics being emphasized in earlier seasons, and now we're going to go ahead and get into spoilers to talk about why for a lot of this stuff. Okay, we then get Perrin and Egwene being like, will I ever go home? And Egwene being like, probably not, and then end, which, yeah, this is people being shoved out on a journey they'll never truly recover from. Let's get into spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoiler talk for Book 1 of The Wheel of Time. Lan! Here again, I talked about the land thing and referenced the fact that in the IGN video, Rafe Judkins talks about how Lan is now feeling this because he's bonded to Moraine and he's reacting to the level of pain Moraine feels, which I think is a pretty good justification for him to behave this way. But if he's already doing this, shouldn't Moraine be in like 3 times the emotional anguish, and instead we just see her kind of crying for a minute? But I don't know, it's good justification, and if it's being used to explore the bond, I don't mind it as much, but it is still something I take a bit of issue with. Alright, look at my eye, look how dilated that eye is. We also get, which I think is pretty interesting, if you do the 360 video experience, it's on YouTube, these eyes. I don't even need to say what that is. You know what that is. If you stuck around for spoilers and you don't know what that is, haha, loser. All right, moving on. This is for sure, 100% a flashback to the Aiel War, which the more of that they include, the better. Honestly, I would be okay with them pulling out the rug and being like, actually the first 5 episodes of the Aiel War, I'd be like, rad. Like, it's not gonna be that, but the more they include of that, the better. This is the birthing of the Dragon Reborn Rand, and I hope this is Tam having his ass pulled down to the ground, and we're about to see him kill an Aiel, roll over, and then see an Aiel giving birth and being like, oh, a ginger baby. How fun, let's go raise it. I cannot emphasize much how much I really like this just brief flash of the Aiel. The blood, the momentum, the way they fight is just all so cleanly encapsulated, yes. Going back to Winter's Night, it seems that this is going to have a high cost. There's a lot of blood, a lot of destruction. And from what this is hinting at, I think we're going to see Winter's Night presented as a pretty severe slaughter. And that's good. I know there's some Wheel of Time fans who don't agree with me that the horror elements should be brought to the forefront and this should be a really brutal start to the series, but I think it's going to work because this needs to differentiate itself from Game of Thrones. And I know what you're thinking, then it shouldn't be so bloody. But yes, it should, but it also shouldn't try to go out of its way to weaken itself to avoid being Game of Thrones. Winter's Night's terrifying. If you reread that book, it is a slaughter. And so yeah, the color palette's different. The lighting's quite a bit different than Game of Thrones. Those are all choices I agree with because the Wheel of Time is a lighter series. Then if they avoided getting dark when the series gets dark, it would feel like they're trying to detract from being Game of Thrones. Instead, this just feels like it's going truly down the path it needs to go down. And yeah, I agree with a lot of people. The channeling's looking wonky, but this is going to be something that's going to take me a while to master. So I'm just going to hope it gets up to par by like season 2, season 3. If it's still not by then, I'm going to start making a big stink about it. Aside from those things though, I'm really happy with what I saw here altogether. I would give this trailer like a solid... I originally said 7.5 because of the thing that was resolved, but now I'm feeling a 9. And I'm tired of being worried if people think I'm being too nice or harsh in the show. Yesterday someone said I was being too harsh on the live stream. I just don't care. That's what I honestly think. If you disagree, I hope you stub your toe and it causes you to fall onto a mouse and you break its back and you feel really bad. Yep. There's some visual things that are not my personal preference choice, but in terms of doing the story justice, there's not a lot here that's not at least justified for being in this trailer in season 1. Upping Logain, that makes sense. Upping the One Tower, that makes sense. Maybe cutting out Camelin, like we're seeing pretty much set online. Yeah, if you're gonna streamline instead taking the tower, I get it. There's a lot of ways you can make this gigantic epic series really work in a show, and it feels like they're doing that, so praise from me. Let me know what you think though in the comments down below. Did you love this trailer or did you hate it? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? There's no reason to get hostile, we're all just having a conversation, and we're hoping for the best. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.